Should we have discussed which books we're doing first?
No.
Because I don't know that I've actually even decided.
Yeah, I was actually, I got all mine out. I was like, I don't know which ones we're gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing today.
So, as far as intro, I think it'd be fun to just be like, welcome to our show. I'm Alan the Unicorn. This is Jenny, just the girl.
I'm just a girl.
Just the girl.
It's also my favorite No Doubt song.
It's a really good song. And then, maybe we should... So make sure that we know that there's spoilers, and we're going to be going over, each of us are going to take 3 books, and we're going to review them and tell you our thoughts on them. Hope you enjoy. And then, who wants to start? Did you start first last time?
I started first last time. You get to start first today.
All right. So now I have to, now it's decisions.
Yes.
So I've narrowed it down to 5 books. So
that was outside the realm of 3.
I know. I've cut it down. But I think
But we could do 5.
I think I'm not gonna do 5. Okay. I have to decide. I'm just gonna have to cut it and
We're
decide.
practicing reviewing anyway, so this could just be like practice review. So we may cut it down for 3, but we
You
can
never know. We might post it later and be like, hey, this is what we're starting. So I think the first one I'm gonna do is Bully Wars. It is the first issue. It just came out this past week. The story is by Scotty Young, which is one of my favorite artists. I really enjoy his work. It's such childish art and still has a refinery to it. The art is actually not done by him. It's by Aaron Connolly. Colors by Jean Francois.
I think we could probably just cover those 2.
Okay. And then, so the first thing we're going to go over is story and what happens. So the basic premise of the story is there's a group of nerds. And the nerds, obviously, they start off the book kind of having their little camaraderie. They kind of establish who they are. There's 2 guys and a girl, and the girl, one of them are a set of twins, and then you meet the main kind of bully character that bullies them and throws a big spit wad of gum, and
wow,
it's really kind of interesting and fun at first, and then they get to school. So they start this new school. And as they're going, they start to, the bully thinks he's going to be this big bad guy. He thinks he's going to be this awesome guy that's going to just rule the school. And turns out that there's even a bigger bully that is going to, that kind of bullies the bully. Then at the very end, there's a little twist. The little twist is one of the nerds actually is going to help the bully that was bullying him. Win the quote-unquote bully wars. And I actually didn't mind it too bad. It was kind of fun. It was interesting. I don't know if I'd pick it up. Again, I don't know if I'd get issue 2 because it really didn't capture my attention. I don't think I'm quite the target audience. But it was a fun little read. It was fairly easy read, nothing too heavy, kind of just I think a kid's book. I think probably preteen, possibly child would really enjoy something like this, which is I think more their audience.
Okay.
But I didn't hate it. I don't think it caught my interest enough to be able to pick up number 2.
I thought it was interesting how the art was, even though it wasn't Scotty Young doing the art, it was still kind of similar to his style.
It is very yes, it is very cartoony and kind of these odd proportions.
Yeah. Use of color was
the
really,
color was really
bright.
amazing. The detail on the backgrounds are really, really neat. So if you're art-wise, especially that cartoony, simplistic kind of childlike art really gets you. It's really good. The art is really talented. I thought they did really well with all the characters, making them kind of interesting looking and different costuming, and the backgrounds were just stunning. So I thought it was a good book. It was okay. I don't think I'll pick up issue 2 just because I don't think I'm the target audience, not because I hated it.
Yeah.
So out of 5 unicorn horns, I'd probably give it a 3 or 4 unicorn horn. If you are a younger, if you're adult, maybe closer to a 2 or 3 unicorn horn, just because I think it is geared to a more younger audience. But if you're a big Scotty Young fan, try it out and see if you like his stories. So
You got me started with Scotty Young because I hadn't read
Lot of
anything
stuff.
of his until you told me about I Hate
I
Fairyland.
hate Fairyland. It's such
And I
a good
picked it
book.
up like on a whim because he had mentioned it to me, and I really like Gert.
It is really fun.
Gert is so fun. I love her so much. It's like everything that you want to be able to do and say. This little cartoon, green-haired, Pollyanna-looking character who is everything but Pollyanna gets to do whatever she wants.
Yeah, and they really do a great job. Scotty does a really great job of making her kind of like grotesque. Like this, the big teeth and like this weird
Yeah.
grin that looks really evilish, and like this huge, massive green hair. It's these big giant curls. And,
Yes, and the dichotomy of like super sweet looking, but then
Yeah.
like really violent and angry.
It's like if Candy cussed. Like
It's exactly right. It's like Candyland on
acid.
Acid.
Yeah,
yes.
it's just it was a good one. Like I
I like-
really liked it.
yeah.
I enjoy I Hate Fairyland. So if you get that's a really good one too. If you are a big fan of Scotty Young, I love his art.
Yeah,
and
it's so much fun. It's
yeah.
really a lot of fun. Okay, so let's see what's number one on my. I had some interesting ones this week. Okay, I have to talk about
Your
Batman.
stack is rather big.
Yeah, I know.
That's what she said.
It is what she said. I'm just saying. And honestly, my stack was so big that I didn't even get to two of them yet. I was just like,
Ooh. I had two right before I came here that I read. Like I sat on in my bed and I read them right away.
You're like-
I have to get them done.
well, and honestly, and we can talk about that when we go through our pull list, like why I was just like, I just can't. So the first book I want to talk about today is Batman number 54. I'm dyslexic. It's 54, not 45. By Tom King. Art was different.
Which you were a huge fan of.
I really love him. I really love Tom King. Tom King was one of, so when I came on into comics, which as we discussed, I'm fairly new to comics, I wasn't going to read like any of the mainstream ones. Like I wasn't going to read Batman. I wasn't going to read, even though he was probably my favorite childhood character was Batman. But then it was like one of those where I just picked it up randomly. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I'll read it. And it was Joelle Jones on art. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it went. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and read it because it's Batman. Let's just, I was at that point where I'm like, let me try something new. So, which new was Batman for me. Oh my gosh, I just fell in love. I love his storytelling. I love, he does a lot of callbacks in his writing, which I think is really fun because I like that type of humor anyway. And Joelle Jones was on the art, which could not have been better for me. Like that.
So who did this book?
This is Matt Wagner, and I don't know that I've seen his art before. This is not somebody in the current Batman Rebirth series. I don't think he has done a book with
Okay.
Tom King yet. So this is basically it's a standalone issue. We just finished a story arc with Mr. Freeze, and we're going into just basically a one-shot standalone story with number 54. And so it is Tom King writing, Matt Wagner is the artist. And it's kind of like a father-son story a little bit. So it deals with, so as we know, spoilers, Batman and Catwoman did not get married. Bruce Wayne and Batman have been dealing with the aftermath of that emotionally. And so Nightwing is in Gotham from Bloodhaven. And the way this story is going is it's kind of this like both flashback and present day between Dick and Bruce. And it's actually really, really sweet. As we go along, it starts out talking about his Dick with his family, when he was still a flying Grayson. And as we go along, it's just these flashbacks. But the way that Tom King has done the dialogue, it's like it could play in both. And so we'll have a couple of panels of flashback, and then the final panel for that page is
Like the current time.
Yes, and it's as we go along, Dick is going with Batman to like fight some of these really odd villains. Like
Which Batman has
he has a few.
gobs
He's
of
got a few.
odd villains.
Yeah, there's some campy characters in there, like the Quilt of Colors, or is it the King of the Quilt of Colors? I don't even know who this is.
I mean, if you're going to be a quilt of colors, you might as well be a king.
But I mean, and I guess he can like befog your mind with his colors. I don't know. But the entire time as we're going along, Nightwing is basically making fun of said villain as they're like, okay, can we just take care of this now? And he's trying to get Bruce, I think, to like loosen up a little bit, because it's like, okay, dude, you got to talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to, what's going on. And so as you go along, it's just these different panels of the back and forth between Dick growing up and the current, and this just this sweet, really showing how their relationship came to be, which we haven't seen a lot of, from what I understand, in current Batman. Like, there hasn't been that Dick hasn't been Robin in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm trying to see here, like, where it would be, like, this was really cute, where it's like, you have to make him eat, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna eat, and then, you know, how, Condiment Man also, they fight Condiment Man. That is actually a thing. I didn't realize, I thought that was a joke,
Nope.
but apparently it's an actual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so,
Is it Condiment or Condiment King? Because I feel like
I think it is Condiment King.
Yeah.
I mean,
Crazy
Crazy
Quilt
Quilt,
and
Condiment
Condiment
King.
King.
Yes, okay, so those were the two names. Yeah, so back to the like eating thing, and then several pages later, you know, we discover that, well, he'll eat chips. So Alfred's like, no, you shouldn't eat chips, and Bruce is like, but he's eating them. Let him eat it. You know, so it showed like how they bonded over this, and so there's all these little back and forth pieces that were really, really sweet between Bruce and Dick and how they came to be. And in the end, like, here's the chip part where he's like, but you know, there's this back and forth between Alfred and Bruce. Like, he likes chips. He needs a proper meal. He likes chips. He can't just have chips. He doesn't like anything else. He's like, well, I like football. And so then they're down here watching football. So it's just, it's really sweet. In the end, I think what it boiled down to was just, it was a fun one shot to see the two of, you know, their relationship. And then also it was Bruce realizing, okay, you know, I can talk to you about this. Like, I can open up a little bit. It's not, I don't have to be so serious.
I feel like the art looks very, if you've ever, did you ever read Mage?
No, I didn't read that one.
It's pretty good. But that's what the art reminds me of, and actually that's because he's the one that did it.
Oh, well,
So
then
there you go. There, I was like, that art looks really familiar.
Yeah, so I liked the art. It really fit the story. It was, you know, I mean, this was a very simple story. Like, there's not a whole lot to say about it other than it was a very, like, father-son, how they came to have the relationship that they have, and why that's important, you know, and how much it is a big part of both of them, both of their identities, even though it hasn't been per se over the last several years. Like, they had grown apart, was my understanding, and this has been a way for them, even though this was a really horrible event, it has brought them together. Yes. So
I think it's interesting that they are bringing Nightwing in a lot more. From what I hear, I don't read a lot of the Batmans, but I hear about them through other books. You see what happens. But I actually was listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about Tom King and the aftermath with Nightwing and Barbara Gordon, I guess, sleeping in the honeymoon suite.
Yes,
so.
Yes, that may have happened. That may have happened in the last story arc where Bruce was on jury duty for Dr. Freeze or Mr. Freeze. Dr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
It's both, right? He is
Mr.
a doctor.
Freeze. Well, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, Nightwing took the mantle of Batman because obviously Bruce was there the entire time. So yes, there has been quite a bit of
Nightwing.
There's been quite a bit of Dick in Gotham. So. So I would definitely recommend this series. I would recommend this issue. It was a lot of fun. It was just a really good one shot. Kind of feeding off of what has been happening, but its own little standalone book. Rating, I mean, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. That 5 you have to really, really earn.
Do you feel like it's something like a good jumping on point for people, or do you think it's you really have to kind of know the backstory?
Honestly, I think you could jump on with this one because they didn't talk about really anything other than Batman's really upset, and he makes Nightwing does make a few little like jabs about what had happened. They're kind of mean, but the same way it's kind of like a, come on, loosen up, like it's fine, you know.
Like get over it.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But I do think you could jump on and start reading from here. And just read the news. You'll find everything else out. You'll be fine.
That's true. Google's
your friend.
Google is your friend.
What's next for you?
I think I'm going to do the Ask Guardians of the Galaxy.
I almost picked that up. Like, I was so close, but then with the Infinity Wars tie-in, I wanted to ask you about that.
Right. So I read it, Ask Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's a little blurb in the back. Let's see. Let's read who did it.
Don't you love it when they put them back?
I know, you gotta find it. It's like So the writer was Cullen Bunn, and the artist was Matteo Lolli. So they had a little, Cullen he had a little afterword in the back, and kind of explains that this is something he's been wanting to do since 2015.
Oh, okay.
He really liked the Valkyrie character, Thunderstrike, and Angela,
Okay.
who was brought in. He really wanted to do like an Asgardians, like them going through different things in space and things. So that was kind of neat to explain, like his thought, and like finally they let him do it when it came in when Infinity Wars time came
Okay.
in.
So this is like a standalone
Ish.
series.
So apparently it ties in quite a bit to some of the stuff in the Infinity Wars. I guess it came from, in the Infinity Wars, I guess the team was formed from the Infinity Wars.
Okay.
I have not read the Infinity Wars yet.
Okay.
I probably may wait until it's all done, but it really isn't something that, I read the Infinity Wars a long time ago, and
Yeah.
it's just like, here we go again. But, so I don't know a lot of the tie-in stuff. However, I thought it was an okay book. So the premise is Angela and the Destroyer are forming a team, and they grab Valkyrie, or Valkyrie's host, they grab her. She's an archaeologist. They grab the Executioner, or Scourge, Scourge the Executioner. They grab Thunderstrike, and they, it kind of goes back and forth. So they flash back and forth in the story. They start off in the, like how they gather, or how she got them, and then all of a sudden they're in the future fighting, like all these trolls, and the Badoon, and all these other bad guys. And then it goes back to the past, to where they, how they all collected each other, or how they got onto this, into this fight.
So it's flashback, not time travel, right?
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
flashbacks. Like it talks about, it just kind of flashes back and forth
Usually how they were formed. Okay.
Yes, and they do explain, like, this is then, this is now, this is then, this is now.
Okay.
And I mean, it's okay. It wasn't anything that really caught like really crazy. I did. So they end up finding. They float through space. They find all these dwarves that are jettisoned in space. And then when they get to the planet, they find Nebula.
Okay.
And I guess she's like gonna be kind of their main bad guy. And she made the dwarves build a weapon for her, and then also find this horn. And come to find out, the horn is what summons the Naglfar, the boats for Ragnarok that are made out of, they house the dead, and they're also supposed to be made out of the toenails and fingernails and hair of the dead, which is super gross. But I don't think these particular
Don't
ones.
touch anything.
Not without a lot of hand sand.
I was about to say, where's the Purell?
Sand. Sponsored by Purell. Boats
Yes.
sponsored by Purell.
Yes.
So, kind of find out that this horn summons a fleet of these ships, and it also summons the dead, not only from the Asgardians, but also from like other space creatures that have similar Ragnarok lores in their
Okay.
culture. So they end up summoning not only the Asgardian dead, but it summons the dead aliens and other things to take, to lay siege.
Sounds like it could possibly be a problem.
Yes, it's always. I mean, there's nothing like a ship of the undead going.
Yeah,
after
right.
you.
That's made out of toenails and hair follicles and whatnot.
And see, like, I think that the hair follicles and the toenails are from the lore, or from the history. I don't think these particular boats. They just talk
Okay,
about it
thank
being
God.
part of the dead, because like the way they look, they got them shaped. They're not very fingernaily.
No. Looks nice.
Yeah,
Looks like it could
yeah.
plow,
It's still
through
like
some other ships pretty well.
it's still kind of spooky. They got this big giant armada. Nebula's in charge. And then the big reveal at the end is the destroyer armor opens, and it's actually Kid Loki, or Child Loki. And Angela's like, once I do this for you, you'll give me what I wanted, what you promised. And he said yes. And of course he does like this evil, like, last line where he's like, I'm gonna use the best use of it. It's my own use. And so it's okay. I mean,
That was a kind of an eye roll for me, I think, a little bit. I'm like, Kid
Well-
Loki, who's that?
Loki's been like so many things. Loki's
Yeah,
been a
right.
guy. Loki's been a girl. Loki's been a kid. Loki's been he just takes all kinds of forms. But apparently, he's not supposed to exist. I guess he may have died in another book, which I'm not aware of. He's died so many times, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
I
right.
keep losing track on the scorecard. But it's an okay book.
Like, oh, you're not dead. Cool.
Art-wise, I actually kind of like the art.
The art's nice.
It's very nice. I'm finally glad that they put Valkyrie in a decent costume.
She looks pretty badass there.
Yes, but so here's my thing with Valkyrie. So Valkyrie did a Defenders, I think it was Defenders, book where she was, she ended up getting trapped in the body of this girl archaeologist. So now they share a body, so they switch back and forth.
How very demon of them.
And I just hated it. Like I hate this premise. I think it's the stupidest thing. But it was because one of them was, I think it was the girl was dying, the archaeologist was dying, so the way that Valkyrie saved her was to, like, kind of share this body with her. But I just, I hate it. And the actual book that it was from, her costume was horrid. Like, atrocious. And so it's really...
And we care about these clothes, so don't do that.
Very big on the costuming.
Yes.
But here she looks really good. But I just hate... It's just so
like that long
cheesy.
braid, you know, it's like...
Yes. Well, and like, I love her boots.
Yeah,
those are a lot of
boots are
fun.
awesome.
And the other costume, she had like these big fur boots, and just it looks.
Oh, don't you hate furry boots
Yeah,
anyway?
yeah. Well, it's like these big like polar bear fur
Yeah.
boots, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work really well.
I feel like this is one of the first details I learned about you. You don't like the furry boots.
I don't like the furry boots. I'm not a fan of the furry boots. I love a big cuff on a boot, but I don't need the fur boot.
So Hawkeye, you're safe, but
Yeah, exactly. Hawkeye safe, Captain America, the Buccaneer boots, really cool.
does Green Arrow have a cuff on his boots?
In the show he does, and I think he does in one of his costumes he used to. But
So who is this character that makes me think the Thing every single time you turn to it?
so it is the alien that they're fighting. It's a
Okay.
bad guy, one of the rock creatures, but I can't remember the name of the alien race that he's
It's
from.
the Frog Thor.
Yes.
Oh,
So-
it's actually a thing.
Yes.
He has a name.
Yes, Frog Thor. And
His name is Throg.
they explain where he comes
I
from.
can't.
I'm telling you, like, so the afterword that they talk about, where Colin talks about as a plan, he said he just had the three like main ones. He wanted Thunderstrike, Angela, and Valkyrie.
Okay.
And so then the other ones were different, I guess. And so then when they got the book from the Infinity Wars, when they had to fit it in, they got these other extra characters. And I mean, like, I don't know.
There's a
Throg.
frog.
Sometimes you just smile and nod. I guess that's more the
Yeah.
comic relief,
Yeah.
you know, is this Frog Thor. And it's funny because he kills most of them, and so they all run from him. You know,
And
he's
you
like
know-
he's an actual frog.
Does he have a hammer?
Yes, he does. He has a hammer.
Yes. You know what I
So-
love about this though is because this is something that happens.
They
like,
actually run from him.
oh my god, they're actually running.
Yeah, and that's what kills all these people is this
I love that you can put characters in like this and like not take it so seriously because sometimes I think with just comicdom in general, sometimes we take ourselves just a little too seriously and it's like, come on, it's a Frog Thor. Like,
my only problem is he really doesn't talk, which I think is really hard because I think
Yeah,
he's supposed to be a more of a comic relief, obviously a Rocket kind of character,
yeah.
Rocket Raccoon kind of character, but he just I just don't think it's gonna be. It doesn't quite play as well.
well,
You know?
yeah.
Especially when you can't speak.
Well,
It's
because
just
that's what we
gonna
love
be
about
sight
Rocket.
gags.
Is,
Right,
Is
it's
that
his
sarcasm.
quipping
Yeah.
And his like, but he's
The
the soft
sarcasm.
side. So, but I think that's so. To me, I feel like Throg is like the least of my
Yeah.
problems.
I do like that they say Throg, Frog of Thunder. No, really.
Quote.
Quote.
Or-
Yeah. it's like
Yeah.
parentheses.
No, really. So
Would you recommend it? I mean, were you gonna pick up book 2?
I would recommend trying it. I don't think I'm gonna pick up book 2. I may end up doing it just to see if I can get into it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like catching my attention, it was okay. I mean, I like the art, but the characters, I like 2 or 3 of them, and the other ones are just kind of like I feel like are throwaway characters to begin with. So it may go. I'll probably decide the day that it comes out whether I'm there or not. Yeah.
Do I want to spend the $3.99 on said book 2?
Yes. Or I may just download it.
There's that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like to do that. Like sometimes I don't want, if a book doesn't catch my attention, I won't let it take up space. I'll just download it and then send it on its way back to the archive.
Exactly. You're like,
So as far as a rating, I would give this book probably a 3 out of 5 horns. Just because if you are if you're reading the tie-ins or the Infinity Wars, it probably would be a book that would be a little bit more understandable. because it does kind of come from there.
Mhm.
But I don't. And if you're like a big Thor fan, a lot of times the characters from the Asgardian world is really a draw line. I like Thor. I don't really read his book that often, but I do like most of the characters on here. I just don't feel like maybe this is the right direction that I personally would have liked to seen them go in. So
Killer cover.
yeah, the cover is amazing, and so if you get a chance, check it out. Tell us what you think. But yeah, I would recommend it if you're a Thor fan or if you're reading the Infinity Wars. But if you're not into either one of those, it's probably not going to catch your attention very much. So
Cool. All right, book 2 for me. Have you read Dead Hand yet?
no,
Okay.
yes, I have.
Okay.
I downloaded it last night because you talked about it.
Technically, I was like, I'm not going to talk about this one if you haven't read it because it's the last one.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it.
But yeah, we'll get there. Is
Okay.
that gonna be your pick?
Let's just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that one.
Dead Hand. Number 6. Did you realize this was going to be the last one?
I did not. And
I
that's
didn't either.
I was kind of irritated.
Spoilers. Hey guys. Yeah,
If you haven't been reading the series, well, let's see. Let's go over who did it.
Okay, so Kyle Higgins is the writer, and the artist is Stephen Mooney, who I really like his stuff. Have you read Half Past Danger?
I have not.
It's one that Stephen Mooney wrote and drew, and it's a lot of fun. Dinosaurs and dames and
Oh.
Nazis, and it's very fun.
This
very
all sounds
fun.
like very much
Yes,
fun.
it's very fun.
Sounds like a party.
Yeah, it is. This is a party. So this is book 6 and the final issue. So premise of the book is you don't in the beginning. I mean, there was a little bit of a slow build going there for it to have ended. So like.
I know, like they made this huge thing out of like, I just.
I know.
So let's talk about the plot for this one.
Okay.
This particular book, the plot.
So there's this. Okay, just spoilers. Just to keep it simple. There is this. They're in Soviet Russia.
Right.
And they have this machine basically that could end the world they have been taking care of that takes on the personality of a 12-year-old boy, 8-year-old boy, something like that.
So it's kind of like an artificial intelligence that they had control over the nuclear weapons
Yes.
from Russia. And so Russia built this, that if Russia went down, that this thing would, or this particular AI would activate all these weapons. Russia lost the Cold War. The spies found out, and so they moved to this place to kind of help stop this artificial intelligence from obviously creating nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
And so they created this town around it, and they have slowly developed it as far as like talking to it and treating it. But it is now the intelligence-wise of a 10 to 12-year-old child.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know
Yeah.
that it's not a little boy named Roger until like issue 3 or
Right.
4.
Right.
Right,
You
I
just
think?
think he's just kind of kept away. And
Yes, you know,
so
like
this town of spies from different sides of the war. So the Americans and the Russians, and I think the British are
Mhm.
all. So they all have like a little tie into this town,
and so
which is nobody knows about.
no, like they have kids
Mhm.
that have no idea that this is going on. I mean,
And they have
it's-
stuff shipped in and all this stuff.
You also think it's in Canada
Yes.
for several issues. You
Like
think
it's just
you're
this
still
remote town, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, it's a remote town with these spies.
Yes.
And kind of find out it's
It's
So
a-
this particular issue though doesn't deal with any of that.
No.
So that was all like the build up.
Yes.
So this particular issue only deals with
Vil, who was Carter's like mentor
Yeah.
for
one of the main guys. It was his mentor, and
Mhm.
he knew about this town, but he never said anything until recently.
Yes.
And this is kind of how a lot of people started coming into the town.
and there's this other so a hiker had gone to the town and the spies killed him because no one's supposed to know that this is there. Well, people that knew the hiker are now, because he was a reporter, are trying to find this person. And so Vil is talking to one of those people and is basically going to take him there because he's dying. He doesn't like the way that the world has come about since, the Cold War. And I mean, he's basically going to use Roger. It's like, let's just go ahead and set it off and we'll just,
End it.
end it all.
Yeah.
And so,
Because he's part of the Russian side. He was an old spy, and then when
Mhm.
everything ended, he was just kind of laid to the waste, because the Cold War is over, so there's no use for him.
yes.
And so then come to find out, in this book, they talk about, like, how he finds out he has an illness. Is it cancer? Do they say cancer?
I don't think they
I
say
think they
that,
just say he's
but
dying.
you're assuming
Right.
so.
And so he ends up dying, or is dying. So he takes this other British spy who is looking for the journalist, he's taken them to this town, the town they know about.
Yes.
And they take hostage the kind of like the main characters, there's a guy and a girl, the main characters, and then they have the lady has the daughter.
Yes.
And so
I think it's Carter and Renee, and I can't remember her name. She's a little annoying at the beginning of the series. You're just like, what are you doing? Just listen. So yeah, they bring them in, they take them hostage, and this is kind of where Vil turns and knocks out the British spy, and Carter and Renee are of course like, what are you doing? What's going on? What are you doing here? I think part of them were just like, are you still alive?
So he takes and he ends up taking the daughter hostage, or the daughter. They get the best of him, and she's like, "I'll take you to the little boy,
Like, I'll take you to him."
to the computer, and we'll get this settled." And because she kind of wants to be out of this town anyways, because she
finds out what's going on,
Yeah.
feels lied to and betrayed, and all of
right,
that.
and she's kind of restless as a teenager,
Mhm.
so she goes and takes him to the computer.
Yes, with the underlying knowledge that Roger's going, because she didn't have much time with Roger, but there was kind of this kindredness that they felt right away of, I think, being both like fish out of water, that we're being lied to this whole time, and feeling like they're taking his not his knowledge, but like his
Using
ability
him,
to
yeah.
understand what has happened,
Mhm.
against them. And so so she takes him, well, I guess she initially takes him hostage, but then Vil turns it back around, right?
Well, she takes him hostage. She's like, "I'll take you to him." And then
That's
he
right,
basically
okay.
is like, "Okay." So he takes her, and so they go and they get to Roger, and Vil's purpose is to activate Roger and get him to actually activate all the nuclear weapons. So then the spies all get free, and then they go after him, and come to find out, they get to him, and Vil tries to activate Roger, and Roger's like, "Nope, not doing it." And then they kill Vil, and you come to find out that the daughter
Yes.
kind of tells him everything
Yes, just
on camera. Like, she's sitting in, he left her in the truck, and she's like telling Roger, like, "Hey,"
like talking to the security camera.
and she's laying it all out there that this is what this is, and Vil tries to destroy Roger.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, it's just like
They're
they're all upset, and then next thing you know, they're
leaving the town
yeah.
and have Roger with them.
on the phone.
Yes, on the phone. So you're like, how did Roger get into the phone? How they're just leaving. It's just
Yeah.
over. Like, it's kind of a hard one to. There's so much detail in the past 5 issues for the 6th issue just to be like.
I know, it's like done.
Yeah, and
Over.
it's not that they didn't wrap it up, because I mean, really, they did wrap up the
Yeah.
story. They didn't leave anything hanging. I mean, by starting this issue off with Vil and getting his backstory, for him to be the one that actually pulls the trigger on Roger and kind of sets this chain reaction, it does tie itself up neat and tidy. It's just there was nothing in
Very
the last
abrupt.
Yes, there was nothing in the last 5 issues that would make you think that this is the last issue.
Right.
So
And that's how I felt the whole time. Was like, after reading it, I was just like, what just happened?
yeah.
Like,
And not in a, I mean, for me, not necessarily in a bad way. Like, I really enjoyed this series. I mean, I would highly recommend it. I thought it was a very interesting read. I mean, it was one of those books where I told anybody that was going to read it, do not look ahead. Like, don't panel scan. Don't do it. Because, I mean, there were things that happened that were like, oh, whoa.
And I almost completely disagree.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed in this,
Yeah.
just because of the fact they had built up these 5 issues before,
Mhm.
which were really intricate, really interesting. They kind of built in these characters. They went into the town. Then it's just all of a sudden it's like, no, we're done.
There could have definitely been 4 more issues, I think. Like,
Yeah,
it could
or
have
at
been
least
like
2. Like, I feel like they could have done where
Like, just
he
do like an
gets
8.
to him.
Mhm.
Yeah, he gets to them, and then maybe like they try to stop him, or They and then go into more like how they downloaded him or how they saved him. I was left
You were left-
wanting.
yeah.
I was like, why?
I could definitely see that because it was definitely an abrupt ending. I think for me, because it was like such a short thing, I'm looking at it like just overall, I was like, it was still a fun read for me. I still enjoyed it. I mean, it's gonna end, and you're gonna be like, what?
It's
But
gonna be done.
yes, but I mean, I definitely with this series, I looked forward to it each and every month. Like I was waiting for the next one to come out. So I think that's
That's why I was a little bit disappointed because I
Yeah.
was very interested in seeing the series every day or every week or month, and then it's just like
it was over.
it was done, and I just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And the other thing was like I feel like there was way more they could have. There's things that they could have went into more. I don't know.
And I don't know if it was sales. Like I don't know if they had to like cut it short or if this was the plan.
Or if they like, are they going to continue it on? And this
Mhm.
is just like the end of this storyline. I haven't heard
Like part
anything.
one or
Yeah,
something. Yeah,
I don't know either.
I don't
And
know.
I have to say, like, as far as like, I mean, the art.
Mhm.
I feel like the art fits the book.
Yes.
But it's not my favorite art.
It's not my favorite art either, but I do agree 100% that it fits
It
the
works
feel
well.
of the
Yeah.
story really well.
It works well with the book, but
His
it's-
costume was always a little weird to me with like the star.
I thought it was really cool, but
It's cool.
that
I
was
just
one thing I
like-
was disappointed in though, because I really thought it was going to be kind of a superhero kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it
it-
ended up being just kind of he just liked wearing a costume.
Yeah, I mean basically that's what it was. Yeah.
Like, wah, wah, wah. I mean, like we all like wearing costumes. It's weird, but
I wish
Nice.
there had been. I guess there was so much character development in the beginning that it was
Yeah.
the story felt short.
they really built
So-
up these people like they were going to do something really crazy with
Yeah.
them, and then there's just like
Because I mean the premise of the book was
Me.
so crazy. It was so crazy.
yeah,
I feel like I will say that after having read it month to month, I think it would almost read better as a trade.
yes,
You could
for
have
sure.
all 6 issues at one
For
time.
sure.
I think maybe you. I don't know that you wouldn't still have that. Oh, it's over feeling, but I think it would read really
Well,
well as a trade versus picking up issue to issue.
What would you rate this?
But I would rate this probably a 3 simply because of the abruptness of the end. I would rate the whole series probably higher, but just the way I was like, oh.
I would agree with that.
I
would
enjoyed
rate
it.
it probably a 3 out of 5, but
Yeah.
as a series, I definitely would rate it probably a 4, maybe even a 5, because I really did.
Yeah,
It was a really good premise and kind of fun, and they really did a good job of.
they did.
But unfortunately, this particular Justice issue, I was just.
And I think even like if you're someone who enjoys reviewing comics, I think this would be one that would be easier to review as a trade. Because
for sure.
there's just so much that has happened that if you don't have all of that backstory, this issue would not make
And definitely
any
this
sense at
this
all.
is one I feel like it would be really good for people that are like into more realistic stories. There's not a lot, and I mean
spy
like,
thriller.
yeah, and it
crime.
wasn't. I mean, it was more realistic. There wasn't a lot of fantasy. Even though he did wear a costume, it was a lot more realistic.
Yeah, he was basically
So-
like a black ops super spy. It was basically
Several
what
of
it
our
was.
friends who really like books like that are were the ones that recommended it, and I actually really did enjoy it. Even though I'm more of a superhero kind of guy. I like the teen books or the strong female characters. But as far as like this, I would have never picked it up on my own.
Yeah.
But,
I enjoyed it.
yeah, I was
And
really
honestly,
pleasantly surprised.
Like the reason I found it to begin with was because of his costume. I was like, this looks kind of fun. Like what's going on here, you know? So I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5.
All right.
What's next?
I really want to review these because I want to trash them so bad, but we'll trash them when
Okay, I haven't read this.
So did you get it?
No, I'm only on issue 9.
Oh, I don't want to ruin it for you. I feel bad now. I'm gonna ruin it anyway.
I know you are.
So no, we'll wait.
We
We'll
can.
wait.
We can. I'll be totally fine.
Well, since this isn't going up, I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
If it was going up, I would have ruined it for you. I totally would have destroyed it for you.
Okay, this book.
So let's go
talk
with
about
this
this book.
book. Did you read this?
I read this book.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
What the hell is
Avengers,
happening?
Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers number 7. So this is the new start to the new series. Let's see. So the
Jason Aaron.
where
Where is he? Where is he?
Oh.
Well, here. Right here.
Okay. Jason Aaron and Sarah.
Oh, I didn't realize that she had to do with some of the
Pacelli?
writing. Yeah, Pacelli.
So, well, I think they just do that because it's they kind of collaborated. So she did the art, and Jason was a writer. So they did this particular issue. Now, this particular issue is not quite in with what has been going on. So the past 6 issues, they have done this storyline, and this particular book ties into it, but it doesn't further the storyline. It's more of like a this is why things are going. Mm-hmm. So it starts off with this caveman that he ends up being he kills this tribe, and this little boy is smarter than the rest of the cavemen, and he's able to talk to him, and he wonders why he's trying to kill him, and then he just decimates the entire tribe and tells him to come find him when he becomes stronger. So this boy goes out, and he thinks he's gonna die because this is all set, prehistorically, before man, and he finds this snake who kind of entices him, and the snake ends up being Mephisto, which is like a demon character, a devil character.
I didn't know who he was. I mean, I knew the name, but I didn't know who he was, so I was like, I know this is important.
Yeah, so he's kind of like a devil, Satan character.
Okay. Is he kind of like one of the magic characters? Would you say he's a magic character?
He's more, like a Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Like he does a lot of Doctor Strange ones. He's been in several books, but I mean, Doctor Strange was a big one that he.
Sure. Okay. So is he like the main bad guy for Doctor Strange?
One of them.
Okay.
Because he's been in almost every book, but he is more of a magic character, like a demon, demon-esque. So he ends up he's like, I'll take your, I'll grant your wish. So the boy ends up saying his name, and he gives him powers, and so he becomes kind of the first Ghost Rider, is what it looks like.
And I will say, I'm going halfway through this book, and I'm like, what? I don't understand why this is tying in, so stay with it.
So he becomes this Ghost Rider, or he becomes the Ghost Rider character. He finds the guy that killed his tribe, and he's riding a giant mammoth, which I think is kind of fun.
I mean, it was fun, yeah.
I don't know, Flaming Mammoth is just, it's okay. So he finds this character, kind of find out this guy is the Wendigo, which is a big character in in the Marvel world. Okay. He's definitely a big X-Men character. He's fought the Avengers. He's fought several different, the Hulk. He was a big one. Okay. But he's kind of this werewolf character that if you eat flesh, if you get bitten and you eat flesh, then you become the Wendigo. And so he can, so this is kind of the original Wendigo.
Because I knew I recognized his name from other things, but again, kind of like with Mephisto, it's like I know who you are, but I don't know who you are.
And so the Ghost Rider character fights the Wendigo and uses his mammoth, who shoots flames out of his nose, which again is very weird. Fights the Wendigo. He gets his this really cool bone chain, which is very typical Ghost Rider stuff. Is this chain that he uses, and he uses it to try to defeat the Wendigo. The Wendigo almost destroys him. The mammoth impales him, and they throw him over the side of the cliff. Then this Ghost Rider's like, okay, we're done. And then at the very end of the book, Odin and the current Phoenix host and her powers show up. So, this series is so disappointing. I'm so upset. I'm a huge Avengers fan, and I just feel like they're going nowhere. I'm like, it's 7 issues, and they're still in the same storyline. Not only are they in the same storyline that is like not gone and done, they are literally going backwards to explain more of the storyline that they haven't finished and why. And I'm like, I don't need this.
Nobody cares.
It's unnecessary.
The previous storyline wasn't even that good either. It was just.
It was the previous storyline should have been done like 3 or 4 issues.
Yes.
And they should have moved on.
Yes.
And they're still beating that dead horse.
Well, and I'm still not sure why, with the previous issues, so you had Odin and Lady
They
Phoenix.
explained it, yeah.
Yeah, because the first
they're
issue dealt with them.
primordial forces. It was the Doctor Strange magic character. They explained it
the Black Panther.
Right, Black Panther, the Ghost Rider, the Phoenix, Iron Fist. The original Iron Fist. Yeah. So these people were supposed to be the original primal forces of Earth fighting the Celestials.
Yes.
So that's what that. But they've already explained that.
Yeah.
They explained it all. They're like, okay, this is. Yeah. And now they're going back to tell a story about them that I'm like, I don't.
Well,
I didn't need it.
And it's like, okay, so is the Avengers book about these guys? Or is it about the Avengers? Who you have like a
I
new
do have to
group?
say, you probably just made about like 17,000 nerds crap themselves by bending
Sorry.
your book that way.
Oh, sorry. It's
You-
because
I'm
I don't
like-
like this one.
I'm pretty sure you broke the internet
I
just
did,
now.
I'm Can I say that if it was a book I liked, that would never have happened? But this one, I'm like, why are we doing this right now? You're right. I committed a nerd fail.
I just
Or
don't
nerd crime,
I don't,
whatever.
I don't feel like I don't know why. I don't know why they did this book.
And you know what? Something else I should have probably, like, because I was confused, like, halfway through this book, I probably should have taken a cue from that I didn't.
As a completionist, I have to have them all, so I always
Yeah.
get them all. And
Yeah.
I'm holding on to this book so tight, and I just I don't know why. Like, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'm about ready to give it up. This would have been, I feel like this particular story would have been an annual. Like
Yes, that's actually
an extra story that kind of fits
Uh-huh.
into the world, that doesn't really it doesn't need, it's just kind of something fun or something that really doesn't hold weight, that doesn't need a lot of explanation. So I feel like this should have been an annual.
Yes, I agree.
I'm ready for that, like, I'm just ready for that storyline to be over with. Oh my gosh, so bad.
And I don't know, I'm not a big Ghost Rider fan either, so
Sadly though, I mean, like, the actual story was not that bad.
No,
The
it
art,
wasn't.
As far as the art, I
love
the
Sarah
art.
Bocelli's art. I really do enjoy her art a lot.
Very, very talented. I loved the bone chain, which was kind of cool. I did like the flaming mammoth, as weird as it was.
Well, and I was
Shooting flames
sad
out his nose.
when the mammoth was
Yeah.
pushed off the cliff. Like
Yeah.
that I was upset over that.
And I mean, like, the art is really fantastic, and it really actually elevates the story a little bit
It
more
does,
than what
I
I would
agree.
have enjoyed.
I agree with that 100%.
And the story wasn't half bad. It was okay.
It just
But it
didn't.
just where it's at and
Yeah.
where they put it, it doesn't make sense.
And
Because
with-
I feel like now, next issue, we're gonna go
do
more
the
into
next
this.
characters.
Yeah, I'm like,
backstory.
are we doing this now? Like, we're.
Right. And I think if we
So
weren't
disappointed.
so unsettled with the series as a whole right now,
Yeah.
maybe we would have felt differently about that. Or if it had been an annual, maybe. But it's just, I've not been very happy with the series
Right.
overall.
Well, I mean,
And
they've
so-
literally started a series. You're on issue 7, and they have not finished. They have not established what the team is. I mean,
No.
they say who they are, but they don't have. You don't know where they're going. You don't know what their premise is. You don't know what's going on. It's just they've come together to fight this bad thing, and now it's like, or stop this thing, and now we're rewinding. So
Well,
I
there's
don't
not been any
understand.
weightiness either to the series, because I felt like with the Celestials. So in the past several issues, we're dealing with the Celestials, and this needs to be this huge world-ending thing, and you're just ready for it to be over. Like you're just trying to, like, if I was a speed reader, this would be amazing right now. And so
And every time you think it's getting ready to wrap up, they add more.
it does, and I'm like,
Oh, but wait.
yeah.
Humans are really the cure. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
French
And even when
toast.
it ended, I was like, did it end? Like, yeah. So I think there's just
I really need Marvel to get Avengers
Yes,
together because
yes.
I want to be a fan. And the
well,
sad
and
part
the
is, like, the
Avengers are
original.
a flag.
Yeah,
like this is.
And this is what you're doing with it. I just don't understand, especially coming off the storylines that they did earlier. They did the where they add or it's not the Sentry. They added that girl in, the Kree girl, the Collector's daughter.
Oh, I don't know who that
The
is.
Avengers Surrender or Survival.
Yeah, I sped read that. Remember?
Yeah. That's actually not a bad series. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you came off that, and you came off of, like, all the Uncanny Avengers and the Mightiest Avengers, which were really kind of very Avengers
But
books.
I read like 13 books in
And
one day.
then-
So
Well, I just feel like that storyline, though, was so much more Avenger-y,
it was.
and now we're getting this, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm ready to be done.
Well, and
So
I
I
don't
was
feel
very
like
disappointed. So this
I was too.
particular book, I would, honestly, at this point, sadly, as I hate to say this, I would not recommend it. Unfortunately,
especially
I really
to a new
want
reader.
to. Not new reader friendly.
If you're new to comics.
Not. It doesn't even give you the premise of what the Avengers or the storyline is about. It's just some random book. So I would not recommend this one, and I wouldn't give it a very high rating. I'd give it probably maybe a 2 out of 5
For
unicorn
me, that'd be
horns.
from the art, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, and that's because the art really makes the story really
Yeah.
well.
And Jason Aaron is a good writer.
Yeah.
But it's just this series is not
No, and I think that's
not
what.
progressing well.
Right, like I said, if this was more of an annual, I think I would have gave it a higher rating too, because it would have made more sense. But as a whole, for the storyline, recommending it just
It
wasn't.
wasn't.
Sadly.
No. And with that, should we talk about the Justice League?
Oh God!
Because
Please do.
I feel like
It's the same thing.
we're doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's like so we're gonna take a leap from Marvel and we're gonna still issue 7.
Yes.
Which, by the way, you got a different cover.
I did. Well,
which
this
I
is
got.
because Jim Lee. I love Jim Lee.
I love Jim.
Zane loves
yeah,
Jim Lee.
I like.
And I mean, come on.
It's
amazing.
It is amazing. It is very amazing.
Okay, so it's
um,
written by Scott Snyder, who I know is like supposed, Scott Snyder, pencils by Jim Chung.
Yeah. I love Jim.
And the art is beautiful.
Jim
but-
Chung is very talented.
Okay, so,
So let's
let's
start
talk about the book.
Story. This particular issue,
starts with Vandal Savage.
have
Cool beans.
no idea what the story is. I couldn't tell you what happens in this issue if I wanted to. I can tell you what I think is happening, but I don't
I can tell you
really
who was
know.
in this issue. I can tell you that Lex Luthor was there, and Hot Girl is fighting Lex Luthor, and her wings glow. It's super
Yeah,
cool.
that was a big thing.
It was super cool.
There's something big
Apparently-
about the wings.
Yeah, apparently her
Which-
wings shouldn't shine or glow, and they do.
And they do.
There's this whole thing about the
Took me
the
forever.
Still Force.
Yes, and it took me forever to figure out who was driving the speed car.
Oh yeah, that's
I forgot.
John Stewart, right?
Right, but I forgot
had to
about that.
figure it out,
I had
yeah.
to figure it out. Like I had to go back and figure
Like
it
I
out.
literally went forward, like I read forward a few pages, and I was like, oh, is that who that is? Like I had to turn pages back to find out, yes, that is actually John. Okay. Anyway, I mean,
It's so convoluted.
Sinestro is still here.
There's people.
Yeah.
There's things. Things
Superman's
happen.
here. I mean, Aquaman.
Oh, and
Wonder
we're back
Woman
onto the Slow Force for the
Yes.
8,000th time. Which I didn't know. Apparently, the Slow Force looks like snot.
Yes, it does.
That's something
it's
new.
green and
Yes.
snotty and acidy, but
And
mostly
then-
snotty.
Yeah, and then Aquaman takes off. And
Yes.
he goes somewhere to do some stuff.
With the sharks, because let's bring the shark. And apparently the Joker's still here too. Yeah.
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 Stuff happens.
Yeah,
Things
yeah.
go, and
Oh, glowing wings.
again, we're very happy. That
Oh,
things are
the
going.
totality. The totality's still here. Did anyone pick up what the totality was before? No? Okay, cool, me either.
No idea.
Uh-uh. And
No
then
idea.
we get a little past halfway through the book, and it's yay! Yay!
Things are done.
Flash did
we
it.
figured it out.
Flash
we're,
did
we're
it.
good.
So we've got the big ball that glows and looks like the Epcot.
I Oh, wait. Starman does show up. Which-
Oh yeah. I don't know who that is.
I
don't
just
know who
want to
that
know.
is.
I just want to know why everybody got together. Now all of a sudden everybody together and does these kumbayas for Martian Manhunter. They're like, good job. We still love
Yeah.
you as a leader. You
Yeah.
really think you're awesome. And then they talk about more about Hot Girl's wings glowing,
Mhm.
and it's just. It is just one big convoluted mess that I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, so then the big reveal at the end was Lex Luthor talking about to one of
I
the
still need you.
Batman
After
metal
all.
people.
Okay.
I just don't even know. Like again, issue 7, I have no idea where we're going with this.
And I know that, like, with Snyder taking it over, like, I know that they're trying to pull in metal and keep it in the universe. Because I'll be honest, I was not a huge fan of metal. Like, I was looking forward to it, but it was just, to me, I mean, there were some good, like, spin-off issues and, like, tie-in issues that I really enjoyed. But for the most part, I was like, why are we doing that? I mean, Baby Darkseid was my favorite thing of metal.
Well, I feel like the metal, the metal was a platform for them just to bring more chaos into it.
I agree.
They broke the wall, and that was like, which I think is a good thing. I was like, oh, they're gonna go somewhere different with this. This is something new, and I feel like that's what they were trying to start off by doing. Like especially with this series, they were trying to start off with like trying to fix the wall or at least deal with this wall situation to give it kind of more heaviness and be like, hey, this is really important cosmic crap that we're doing. But I don't think they made it. Like
my same issue with this is the issue that I'm having with Avengers right now is that like the source wall, like this thing that they're doing with Luthor and like what was the name of their group, the Villains or something?
Legion of Doom.
The Legion of Doom is that this should be really heavy world-ending event type stuff, and it's just it does not have like you're so confused all the time that you don't know that you're supposed to be worried.
Yeah.
And then it all ties up in a pretty package.
But not even really.
But not when it needs to.
You don't know how it got there. You're just like, I don't know how that package happened.
Exactly.
The other thing I really am disappointed in is he spends all his time bringing this Legion of Doom together, and then like they hardly ever use any of the characters. It's like him and the Joker.
Yes.
And that's it.
And a little bit of Sinestro.
Yeah, a little bit of Sinestro. He shows up.
And I don't feel like it's using these bad guys' powers very well either. Like it's... Like, the character building to me isn't...
Well, I don't understand what the hell they're talking about with their powers. Like, I don't understand the Sinestro Force thing. That thing is so confusing, and they try to explain it. They explain it, like, actually 3 or 4 times in different books throughout the series, and it's still just like, I don't get it.
Well, and Zane is a big Green Lantern fan, so I even went to him and was like, hey, you like the Green Lantern stuff. He doesn't like this book either.
Yeah, and I don't get it. And the Slow Force, I feel like I should be... is
it the Slow Force or the Still Force?
Still Force. Dark magic.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter which one it is, because it's still kind of like, I just feel it's stupid.
Well, and there's this doorknob that is a big deal throughout the whole...
But you don't know why.
Well,
Like, why is it a big deal? I want to know why this is a big deal.
It's because it, like, opens up the area, but I don't... But why?
But they don't ever use it.
It's a
they
doorknob.
don't ever, like...
Yeah.
Because
doesn't he have it, like, on his staff or something? I don't know.
We're not talking about Luther's staff.
Yeah, true. Sorry. I mean, the sharks are cool.
And, I mean, like, the art really is amazing. But I do feel like sometimes the art, even with the cool art, I do get a little lost as what's going on in some of the panels.
Yeah. I don't know.
I unfortunately, again, same thing with Avengers. I'm so disappointed because I'm just about ready to give up.
I feel like they're following the same path here, and I'm concerned because I actually gave up the Justice League with the last run. I was just like, you know what? No.
I did with America. I gave
not good.
Justice League America. I tried, and I got really far on that sucker, and I finally
But you're
just
like,
was like
loyal to a fault.
I am loyal to a fault. I will hold on to a book until it dies.
No.
And then I'll hold on to it more.
No, it's rotting, and he's still holding on.
Stuff it in my pocket.
Yes.
All the ashes.
Yes.
But
I really like the covers though of these Jim Lee covers.
What would you?
Are really awesome.
So would you recommend it?
No, I'm sorry. I would not. I would not recommend this book right now.
What about your rating? What would you give this?
Again, I feel like the art is carrying it a little bit, like a 2.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I would not recommend it, and I would probably give it a 2 just because the art. I love Jim Cheung. That was another thing that kind of drove me nuts, though, and not. I know we've tried to focus on the issue, but like this particular series in general. Actually, both of them. Again, Avengers and Justice League, like they're following suit, like they're just like hanging out together.
Yeah, it's like, are they all meeting like for lunch and like
they're the ugly people at the bar still left over when the lights turn on. It's just like, oh God, you're still here.
Oh God.
All right, I guess you have
Little
to go
coyote
somewhere.
over there.
Like I read that. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, but with the art is so inconsistent. Like. And McGinnis is a big one on the Avengers, and then he does like 1 or 2 issues, and then somebody else takes over, and then like same with Jim Cheung. I think did the first issue, and now he's just now finally back on issue 7.
Yeah.
And so that's very frustrating. Although like one of the Jimenez's took over art for the Justice League. I love him. His
Phil
art
Jimenez?
Yes.
He is one of my favorites in the industry.
Was it Phil Jimenez? No, it was somebody else. It was a different one, wasn't it?
For Justice League?
Yeah.
Recently?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was on it.
I don't remember which one. It was one of the Jimenez's.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
Anyway.
like, yeah, the past ones,
Yeah.
the art, I really like his art.
Yeah.
He did Earth 2 for a little while, and I loved Earth 2, was so
And
good.
he did a bunch of Wonder Woman stuff, didn't he?
See, it's different.
Oh, it's a different
So,
one?
yes, yeah.
Okay, so then maybe I'm
Yeah.
thinking of, that's probably why I'm
Right.
confused.
Right.
So you're probably right about this.
Right. I hope.
Eh.
Anyways,
fine.
yeah,
It's fine.
they are two different people.
Okay.
There's two Jimenezes. There's, I think
Phil
there's-
Jimenez
yeah.
is the one that I like so much.
Yes, he's the one that did Wonder
He
Woman.
writes and draws.
Yeah, and he did Wonder Woman, and he did Invisibles, and he did several things.
Okay.
And he is amazing.
I really like him.
Yes, but the other George Jimenez, I think, is the one that did it.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
And he's the one that did Art too, but his art is a lot more like slick and kind of dynamic, and just
Mhm.
these big, giant, like odd-looking angles.
Which
Really
is fun.
amazing. Yeah, which I've really enjoyed the past issues of the
Yeah.
art, but like
The art overall, yeah, I agree with you, has been good. But I mean, I don't even really know how to like fix it.
that's what I'm saying. I was like, they need to
Like
find.
what my idea of fixing it would be.
Yes, I don't disagree. I don't
Oh,
know.
see, like mine didn't say this, but like this issue is called The Fury of Hot Girl.
Mhm.
Okay. She had glowy wings, and she was, I guess, in the end, the reason why they were
Well,
able
it's
to
about
move
time
forward.
after 7 issues she shows up and does something.
Right? I
It's
mean,
just
but
like,
I
okay.
wouldn't have, like, yes, she had 2 big pieces in the book, but I wouldn't have thought that this was about her.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't have.
Mm-mm.
I
like
didn't
that as a
until
Flash.
just now.
More Flash.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would have
more
thought
Flash and the still/slow force.
Yes, we're just gonna call it slow force from now on. I think.
They got slow force on
Yeah,
Mondays.
yeah, exactly. Flash, can you come help us out tomorrow,
Yeah.
please? Tomorrow might be a
Stop
little
the slow
rough.
force on Mondays.
Yeah.
So that was your 3. That was my 3.
Well, I guess technically I did 4. Well, maybe because. Oh yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I just brought that one over there.
We just happen to read the same ones, obviously.
Yeah.
So
what was on the rest of your pull list?
the rest of my pull list, Paper Girls, number 24.
I will catch up, I promise.
Oh my god, so good. If you're not reading this book, you need to start on issue 1, which I think is really hard to find. But
Download it. Do the trades.
Download it, trade something.
Honestly, I
But
would
you
recommend
have-
picking up the trades.
It's time travel,
Mm-hmm.
but still really good.
Mhm.
And the art is stunning, and it works really well with this book. A big 80s nod, 80s and 90s, very
Mhm.
pop culturally.
Mm-hmm. Art's great.
Yeah, story's fun,
Mhm.
and not really like, it's really odd because the characters don't really have superpowers, but
No.
it's very science fiction, time travel, superhero stuff. It's fun. And the characters are really neat, so
Yeah.
that's a really great book that I really like.
And I'm not much of like a teen. Like I don't always enjoy teen stuff. This has been really good.
Yeah, this
like
is
I think
really
it
good.
appeals to a
It's
very
not,
wide audience.
and I don't think it's very teen angsty. Like I don't
No.
feel like it's like a high school kind of book.
Right.
It's very adult.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Star Wars number 53. It's okay.
Also,
I feel like this particular storyline is ready to be over. It
Agreed.
needs to be.
I didn't
but,
think it needed to have another issue.
Yeah, I wish they would have wrapped it up in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's still okay. It's Star Wars
It's
stuff.
Star Wars. I'm gonna read Star Wars because I
Yeah.
love Star Wars.
The only thing I
and
have a hard time with this particular series, especially Star Wars, is when they do prequel stuff.
Mhm.
So it's stuff that the movies are already over.
Mhm.
So but they start like somewhere in between the movies.
Mhm.
I'm like, you're not gonna kill off the main characters, so
right.
like
So
they're gonna live.
There's not a lot of weight
Yeah.
there.
But still, it's fun stories.
But if
It's
you
a good
enjoy,
one.
if
I
you
would
enjoy
recommend
Star
it.
Wars, yep.
So Paper Girls, I'd give almost 4 to 5 stars or 5 horns.
Mhm.
Star Wars, I'd give about a 3 or 4.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Agreed.
X-Men Gold. Did
Mhm.
you get to read this yet?
I do not read X-Men Gold.
Oh my gosh. Don't you didn't miss much.
No, that's what I've been
This
told, which
particular
is why I've never picked it
storyline-
up.
this particular storyline, it's okay. It's a fun read. It's a Storm kind of centric story. It's wraps up the storyline. There was 3 issues before that were kind of this, and I feel like the story they could have wrapped up and probably made 2 again, maybe an annual. Like there wasn't a lot of team stuff, which
Okay.
I feel like when you're doing a team book, you should have the team.
I agree.
But I mean, it's still okay.
Is
I would
that
give
a-
it probably a 3 out of 5.
Is that a Noto cover?
No, I don't. Yes, it is.
I like his art a lot.
I have a love-hate relationship with
Yeah.
his. Yeah.
I've found several covers. Well, I read Black Widow and I enjoyed his run on Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other one that did the most recent Black Widow issue or artist was really good too, but Phil Noto, he's okay.
I like him.
Yeah. I
This
did
is
the
funny to me.
Silver Surfer annual, which
So
I thought was
because
funny.
the book's been over for me.
I know. It's been over forever. They're like, "Hey, it's an annual," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
I went to go
I-
pick it up, and Mike was telling me, he goes, "Here's I put this in your bag," and I was like, "I thought the book was done."
I picked it up and I showed it to Mike and I was like, this isn't a current series. And he's like, I know.
But it was actually kind of a fun little read. The
I'm
art was
excited
really
to go back and
cute.
read the last couple series of Silver Surfer.
Yeah. It was a good book. I would probably do a 3 out of 5, and I would recommend it as a fun little read. If you're a Silver Surfer fan, for sure read it. It's just a cute, I mean, not cute, but it's just a story. Good.
Mhm.
It's not too complex, but it is a really neat story. I like the art. And then my last one that I had this week was Astonishing X-Men. Did you get to read it?
I did.
I feel like they're going a little bit further, but I'm ready for stuff to kind of
I'm thinking maybe we're
Establish.
there now. I think with there were a couple twists and turns
Right.
in this one that I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we're starting to do something now.
yes.
So
And I think they've gotten their team together, but now it's kind of like flipped it on its end.
Yes.
But if you're an X-Men fan, I think I like it.
I'm enjoying
I
it.
would give it probably a 3 out of 5, maybe a 4 out of 5.
And the art is
Yeah.
great.
Greg Land is always really good. I feel like there is a disconnect though sometimes. I think he had
It
a
changed
helper.
a little bit. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Neil Edwards, and it's just kind of
Went a little back and forth.
yeah, like okay,
Yeah.
all right, we're doing that.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
like really, really good.
Yeah,
So good.
yeah,
So good. But
just different.
different.
That threw me off. Wasn't ready for that. All right.
Yeah. You
But,
can tell they're the same character.
Yeah, if you're a big X-Men fan, or if you're not an X-Men fan, I mean, it's still a good book. I like it. And this particular one would be kind of hard to jump onto,
Yeah.
just because they're kind of establishing what's going on.
You'd need to go back to like I think issue 13.
Right. You wouldn't have to go all the way back to the beginning, but you would need to go like 3 issues. Which again, like, take a hint. 3 issues. They've established a team. They've established their premise.
Mhm.
Let's keep going. Avengers, Justice League.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. You guys published these as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have I have 3 left on my pull list. I haven't even gotten to these yet. Dr. Aphra, so I can't speak to the book, but this series, I have a love-hate relationship with this series. I enjoy it, but she gets on my nerves a little bit. Because like people come in and rescue her and then she like puts them all in danger by like being stupid and so we'll see how that annual goes. This one I stopped reading because I was having a little bit of trouble focusing, I'm not gonna lie, a little tired. And this is like, these books have some depth to them and you have
The
to
covers
really...
though are so beautiful.
I
just love
love them.
Yes.
Bill Quee Evely is the artist on these, and I'm telling you what, like, for the art alone, I would give this book a 5. I love it that much. Like, that's how much I love that type of art. And I want to be able to focus on this one, so I left this to last to read. So and
Now,
Simon Spurrier.
This one they're doing a couple books, right? They're not
Yes.
doing just the one.
So the first one, this is the
but
first
it's all
one.
one universe.
Yes, so this is, I guess, technically the second book that has released in the reboot, or not the reboot, but the continuation of the Sandman universe. The first book kind of set up all of these other little, other series that are going to come out of the Sandman universe, and so this is the first one to release of those little series. It's called The Dreaming, and I'm assuming this one's going to follow this character Dora and Matthew, and I'm excited to see where this goes. But like, first, I mean, you really have to, like, this is heavy reading. This one's a heavy reading. This is one that I picked up that I'm actually very excited about. It's called Elric, the White Wolf. And if you're into like Lord of the Rings fantasy, or there's one that Zane's gonna kill me for not knowing who it is. Dres Do'Urden is the name of the character, but it is actually an adaptation of some novels. And I love the art in it, and I loved the story. This would have been one that I reviewed, and I will definitely be picking up the second issue. I mean, there's really not a way to short synopsis it, but if you like fantasy, if you like Lord of the Rings style fantasy, I highly, highly recommend this book. I picked it up on a whim, and I cannot wait for the next issue.
Awesome.
So, I mean, at this point, I'd be like, yes, pick up this book, and I would give it a 5 out of 5. I'm digging it. I'm digging the characters. I'm digging the art. I like where the story is going. There's you can tell it's an adaptation, so you can tell like, oh, maybe there was probably a little bit more to this that he wasn't able to put in the book for time's sake, but the story still travels really well.
Awesome.
Good pacing.
How many books are there? Do you know?
I actually don't.
No.
I don't know, but I'm digging it. I'm digging it a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's super fun. Super fun. I like it. Big list this week.
There was.
I had a lot to read.
I know. Like last week was like nothing. I had like
Yeah.
5. And
It's like
this
I
week-
need to pick 3 books out of 4 books.
And I
so.
think I even downloaded more than what I actually read, and so I think I got about 4 or 5 more on my iPad that I read.
You're like, I need more.
I'm like,
I need
keep
more.
going. Well,
Yeah.
there's like some other ones that I wanted to check out that I were like 1 issues or 2 issues that I was like, okay, let me see what those are. So I call it reading fodder.
Yeah,
So sometimes reading fodder's fun.
I agree. Sometimes you just need more. You're just not done.
Yeah. Sometimes you have a little more time on your hands, which
Yes.
doesn't happen often.
No, it does not.
Well, that was our list for the week. Let us know what you thought. If there's ones that you disagree with that you think are really good, maybe we're not smart enough to follow the storyline of
Hey,
Justice League.
If you love the Avengers and the Justice League, let us know why.
Yeah, let us know why. Maybe we can get on board with it. Otherwise, pick up some of the ones that we recommended, and if you're interested in anything, we're gonna tag all the ones at the bottom where they're at, and take a look. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll figure out how we want to intro and outro as we go. We'll script it.